The Steam Deck has had another busy week of games, from new games getting verified to a brand new hardware feature finally hitting the beta channel. That's right, it's Steam Deck news time. First up, let's talk about Subnautica. Now, it's become somewhat customary for us to start Steam Deck news videos with news of games becoming verified, and Subnautica is the highlight this week. Quote, "We're thrilled to release an update today for Subnautica on Steam to improve compatibility with the Steam Deck. You'll notice that Subnautica is now marked as verified on the Steam store, which means that the game should work seamlessly when you play it on Steam Deck. Here are some of the improvements the team has made to bring the Steam Deck compatibility update to life. Virtual keyboard support for big picture mode. Fixed wrong controller stick dead zone handling, which should now make it easier to aim using a controller. Fixed occasional black screen on game start, refactoring, and other fixes and UI improvements, mostly related to controllers." And it's so great to see game developers actually taking the time to improve their game's experience on deck. But for a game like Subnautica to actually celebrate their newly minted verified status, it almost brings a tear to me eye. Me hearties. That was a typo in the script. Now, we all know that the Steam Deck is a heck of a value. Starting at $399, the 64GB model provides us with a powerhouse console, albeit with a limited storage, for a great price. So if you're looking for a simple upgrade, one of my favorite micro SD cards is on sale right now. You can get this 1TB SD card from SanDisk for only $128. That is a superb deal. And if you only need something like 512 gigs, you can get it for half off right now for only $50. I wanted to let you guys know about this deal, but then I got a little curious. There's a better deal going on right now too, but only if you're comfortable working on laptops and other smaller, delicate electronics. You can get the 64GB Steam Deck and a Sabrent Rocket 1TB SSD and save $90 over buying the 512GB model. Now, this is also limited time because this drive is on sale right now on Amazon for 41% off. But that's 41% off that you could get this drive for. Or if you don't like Amazon or you don't need that much storage, you can get this 256GB model for only $50 over on Newegg. This would save you over $80 versus buying the 256GB model. Now, all of this is contingent on whether you are comfortable working on the Steam Deck's internals. It's not the same thing as upgrading a PC, honestly. The chassis is much harder to get into and mess with. It's more akin to opening a laptop or a tablet than a desktop. In fact, Valve rather dramatically cautions against doing work on your Steam Deck's hardware, and this is understandable. It has a 45 watt-hour battery, and batteries like this are scary. And it's to the point where the official iFixit SSD replacement guide recommends running the battery down to less than 30% charge before you work on it. And that's because if you accidentally puncture or short out the battery pack, you're in for an extremely bad time. Toxic fumes, a fire that can last for hours. Lithium-ion batteries are no joke, and they should not be played around with lightly. But if you are capable of taking that risk, you can save yourself a pretty penny. And the reason I bring all this up is because I recently just upgraded my Steam Deck, and you can watch the video here. But before we move on to the next story, I have to ask, why haven't you liked that smash button yet? When you do, you signal to the mischievous YouTube demigods that you want to see more videos like this. You can also subscribe to stay up to date with all the cool things that we're doing here. Now, I want to give a special shout out to Glenn Steen, one of my top tier Singularity members over on Patreon. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate it. Now, if you buy games on Humble or Fanatical and expect to get a Steam key, this news story could impact you. It can also impact any of the people watching who are game developers or publishers. So what's happening, I hear you ask? Well, Valve has changed their policy on Steam keys. It used to be that you could request as many Steam keys as you wanted, and Valve would generally fulfill your request. But now, Valve will only provide each game with up to 5,000 default release keys. And once those are exhausted, developers must request more keys. According to Valve's documentation, quote, "After that, all Steam key requests are reviewed on a case-by-case basis. There is no guarantee that you will be provided additional keys." Now, previously, Valve did not offer a hard number of 5,000 keys in their documentation. And this change shouldn't have an adverse effect on stores like Humble or a developer's own website, with the caveat that that's only as long as the developers are actually following the guidelines Valve have laid out in the documentation. Now, the question is, what do we actually have here? I've seen a lot of conspiratorial thinking about this move, but honestly, this is just Valve clarifying their policies and moving to make the ecosystem here healthier. There are a lot of scam sites and shady key resellers out there that legitimate retailers have to contend with, and Valve seems to be doing what they can to combat the scams with this move. Now, does this have anything to do with the reporting that we saw a few weeks back where Humble are selling keys that they don't actually have? Perhaps, but we don't actually have any solid data to draw a connection between the two here yet. We will keep an eye on this going forward, so make sure that you get subscribed so you don't miss any updates on this story. Next up, SteamOS 3.4.6 preview has fixes for ray tracing in Doom Eternal. Now, this is pretty incredible since the RDNA 2 based GPU of the Steam Deck has been decried by some for being too weak to perform real-time ray tracing. Yet here we are. The Steam Deck is running Doom Eternal with real-time ray tracing enabled, and I have to say, it looks impressive. Valve's Pierre-Loup Graffet tweeted a screenshot of the game running with real-time ray tracing enabled, and it looks amazing. Now, in the same tweet, he said, quote, SteamOS 3.4.6 preview contains fixes for invalid rendering and performance improvements for Wolong Fallen Dynasty, and also comes with ray tracing support for Doom Eternal. Now, this is a screenshot of the game running on Deck 2. This is running at the deck's native resolution, which is 1280 by 800 with RT on. The reflections in the floor immediately jump out to me, but taking a look at the Super Shotgun reveals environmental reflections as well as bounce and fill lighting. Similarly, the candle wax seems to be doing some subsurface scattering, and other lights in the scene are helping to fill out the environment. So the next logical question is real-time ray tracing even playable on the deck? And the answer is yes, at least for Doom Eternal. Now keep in mind that this game is an incredibly optimized one already. On my deck, I can play the game with uncapped frame rates in the triple digits at times. So when you introduce the notoriously taxing RT process, the frame rate drops to 35 FPS. Now I've seen some people who are disappointed with that number, and while it is under 40 FPS, which is my absolute minimum frame rate these days, the fact remains, the Steam Deck's hardware is capable of 35 FPS with ray tracing on, and for a 15-watt APU, this should be impossible, and yet here it is. And keep in mind too, that this is a rudimentary implementation of RT that only works with one game right now and is destined to become more optimized as time goes on. That's the nice thing about the deck's hardware and software. SteamOS has got deep access to the hardware, so they can release drivers that increase performance, reduce background overhead, and push releases of Proton that enable new and novel software fixes for the device. And that is the thing that has me most excited about the Steam Deck going forward. Now, I want to extend a special thanks to the folks who financially support this show. My patrons, my YouTube members, and now ViewSync Premium members. It's due to the generosity of these folks you see on screen that I'm able to continue this work, bringing you the latest Steam Deck news. If you believe in the work that I'm doing here, you can become a patron, a YouTube member, or a ViewSync Premium subscriber today. It's all greatly appreciated. And thanks. That's going to do it for now, though. Thank you for spending time here with me today, and I'll see you guys in the next one.